The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Hello! That's right. It is time to light the lights. Oh my gosh, it is time to, put on makeup, it's time to dress up right. I'm getting all my lines up. I had it in my head when I started hitting buttons. It's time to start the music, isn't it? It's time to light the lights. Yeah, because we're going to talk some Muppets today, all right? That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to share some fun and some memories with the Muppet Show. I planned to have done this last week, but things just did not quite go the way I had planned it. And actually, even from the how I got my feedback from y'all was not quite the way I planned it. I wanted some emails. I asked for emails on our social media pages. By the way, are you following us on social media? Neverland, the Fandom Nexus. We are on Facebook, and that's generally where I ask some questions in both our group and our fan page. And I was asking people, to share some memories about the Muppets, and I gave some samples like what your favorite Muppet is and stuff. And I got one response to what their favorite Muppet, but I didn't really get a whole lot of why is that your favorite Muppet or anything like that. I just kind of got, I sent, one person sent me an email, but I mainly got like a lot of images and some people saying who their favorite Muppet was or a favorite guest. But we're going to talk about that later with some of our memories from the Muppet Show back in the time of the 70s. And we're going to talk about that. Also, though, I do want to talk about, there was a large PlayStation showcase yesterday. And since I happen to own a PlayStation, I was quite interested in this. A lot of new games were announced, or games that we knew were coming. We got to see a little bit more about, including the upcoming Spider-Man 2 game. So I am very excited to talk to you about that. Got a chance to have a look at it. Oh my goodness, what they showed us was phenomenal. I really, 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 really enjoyed it. And so we're going to talk about that. But I've got all kinds of other fun stuff, a lot of different news. And of course, like I said, I'm probably going to have to hop up onto my Facebook page here and be able to share with you everything that actually was shared with me about the Muppet Show. But let's just go ahead and get this show rolling when we talk about what you have been watching.
Hello out there in TV land.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
A Neverland podcast television review.
I did get around to watching the Muppets Electric Mayhem series. It's I don't know if they're going to do any more seasons. It was about 10 episodes. They put them all up on Disney Plus all in one go, and so I sat and watched them over the course of the last, couple of weeks, something like that. And I will say that I did enjoy it. It was fun. I did laugh out loud and had a few good belly laughs as I posted to Facebook when somebody was talking about it. I enjoyed it. It was funny. Had some fun with the idea. There was a lot of really great nods to us old school fans. Like with the Electric Mayhem, actually had an old contract that was the standard Rich and Famous contract, which is what you might remember from the original Muppet movie. But there was a lot of different nods. There was even a mention of the baseball diamond from the Great Muppet Caper. So they threw a little fun bits in like that for us, and then just had kind of a fun story that they just found like little bits of time to tell a story and have a little bunch of little stories, almost very much like a sitcom. And I really did have a good time watching it. I thought it was quite fun. You didn't really fully have a villain. No, you had a character you thought was kind of going to be the villain, but he really wasn't such a bad guy. He was trying to help, and he was trying to help his own way and didn't quite understand, I guess, some stuff how the band would work, and so stuff he would do, he was modernizing them. And by the end of the series, we almost kind of got a look and a criticism of the modern social media society, the society that we live in, and it was a criticism of that by the time you got to the last third of the series, because that's one of the things the sort of the antagonist of the series. He wasn't really a bad guy, and he was trying to help out a lot of doing stuff. But he was trying, of course, to make the Electric Mayhem into influencers. He wanted to have their music on an app so people would have it on their phones. He was wanting to do a lot of stuff that we expect nowadays to happen with technology. But it was, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but they really took the time to say, well, is that really the best for everything? Is there something we're losing in our social media world where we're not getting that actual interaction, human interaction? Because the first half of the series, we get to show how the Muppet Mayhem or the Electric Mayhem is just making magic through their interactions with people, and then putting them on social media, they lose that bit of magic. So it was very interesting going that way. So I really did enjoy it. It had, I feel like I kind of spoiled a little bit, but not really. But that's kind of the overall theme of it. It had a lot of guest stars in every episode. A lot of guest stars that I was not familiar with. A lot of guest stars that were like very old school, and they were just kind of fun to see them pop up. So I didn't quite enjoy every guest star. Some of them were almost like, and this season of The Mandalorian, were, why are they here? Okay, I don't know. That seems like a weird cameo thing. I mean, Star Wars doing cameos like that was weird, but Muppets, we expect that sort of thing, to have some cameos. But overall, I do recommend it. It actually was fairly fun, and I had a good time. So we move on to the next question I always like to ask is, what have you been playing? And there's been a couple of things I've been playing this week. One of them, I'm finally sat down and started playing the 2018 God of War game. Now, I kind of slowly worked my way into this because I don't really like the character of Kratos. He's kind of a jerk. From what little bit I've played of the original games and some video I've seen of the original games, he's very much the anti-hero. I mean, I don't find him as a personality a likable guy. He's just angry, And so this is kind of giving him a chance to re-look at his character, and this is, you don't really have to have played the earlier games to come into this one. And I tried to play it once before, but it had all your major attack buttons were on a trigger button, and I couldn't quite adapt to that. But then had a friend of mine, Seth, was saying, well, you can change that. So I thought, okay, well, I'll come back to it at some point, because when I got my PS5, I did buy the edition that came with a digital copy of the sequel, Ragnarok, to the God of War games. But yeah, I'd played the Resident Evil 4 enough times, so okay, well, I need to play something else, and let me go ahead and just play this God of War game. And so I did change it to a more of a classic control setting, where my attack button was on square and stuff like that, and I have been playing through it. I have not yet completed it, but it is a lot of fun just exploring around the area and finding hidden treasures and different things to collect, that kind of thing. I'm having a lot of fun. The story is interesting. You see basically a man he's realized he's been, his life has not been great, but he's trying to be better about it. He's trying to learn how to be a father. He doesn't know how to show affection to his son. But you see these moments where the son doesn't see, where he almost wants to put his hand on his son's shoulder when they're dealing with an emotional thing. And the overall story arc has been his wife has passed, and he wants to take her ashes up the tallest peak, because that was her final request, the tallest mountain in all the realms. And it's the adventure going on doing that. In the meantime, he's also kept it from his son. Now, I don't know a whole lot of the history of Kratos, but I know at some point he killed Ares, became the god of war, but he swore vengeance on all the Greek gods and killed them all. But he was a demigod who became a god, an Olympus Greek god. And so now he's in the Norse area, or the area of Norse mythology. He has not told his son that his son would basically be a demigod at that point, because you're half human, half god. And the Norse gods are aware of this, and of course, they want to do their own film. They like to basically point out that these old mythological gods like this are all really not very nice people. And so there's that kind of storyline, and I think something big is coming along from that part of it. But he really is just trying to, him and his son, go and take the ashes up the highest part. And I've gotten up to the point where we're actually going to go to Jotunheim, I believe, or Jotunheim, I don't know, where the land of the ice giants, because there's the tallest peak in all of the world's realms would be there. So that's where I'm at now. I'm hoping I get a chance to play again this coming weekend. I haven't really got a chance to play this week. I've been very, very busy this week with my work, filming different ads, even in one company that does permanent lights on your home, and so I had to come back and do a night shoot. Also had an interesting news story here in Missouri that y'all might have heard about, where a Catholic nun was, they dug her up after 4 years of being in the ground, because they want to move her inside of the church building that she helped founded, and she was very well preserved. And Catholics look at that and say, a miracle. So I won't say much more on that. I'll leave that be. But I went and I've shot some footage. I looked at the story actually just a little bit ago that one of our reporters actually went out later to the place to actually talk to some people and do a full story there. And they used a little bit of the footage I shot. I hope they found more use for some of the other footage because they barely touched on some of my footage because she shot her own. I'm like, well, what did I go out there for? So, oh well. But anyways, so yeah, I've been very busy. I'm actually really tired this week, but I was like, you know what? I need to get out. I got to talk to my people. I meant to have something every week, and now we're going to go every 2 weeks at the rate I'm going. But I wanted to talk to my people, and that is you, about all the fun, different things, especially considering all the fun things announced by Sony. Plus, there's a lot of other stuff that I didn't know was coming, and some of the stuff you probably heard before because I've been gathering stuff for a couple of weeks. But let's have fun. Let's talk about this stuff.
Spanning the Disney and geek universe to bring you the best in comics, toys, movies, and entertainment. This is news from around Neverland.
All right, now this is something I had no idea this was happening. So, Superman, way back, in 1941 through 1943, Max Fleischer, you might know this, did animated shorts of Superman. And the animation is great. Max Fleischer also would go on and do some great Popeye cartoons. I don't remember when he was actually working on Popeye. But these actually have hit public domain. But Warner Brothers, they own the merchandising rights and everything. So they have put these on Blu-ray. And they've got some new 4K scans of the original negatives. And they have put these... in their 17 theatrical shorts, they have put these out on a nice Blu-ray disc. It's labeled as Max Fleischer's Superman. Now, Max Fleischer was quite the rival for Walt Disney back in the day, and Walt Disney did speak on it, like of how good Fleischer was. Pardon me while I drink a drink of water. So these are out, I guess, in stores. I have not gotten a chance to go look for it, but I do want to pick this up. It's got a 4 out of 5 by 5 rating on Superhero Hype for just outstanding quality. And this is also where the story is that, I have read some of the original Action Comics with Superman, and he did not fly. He leapt over buildings in a single bound. But when it came to the animated one, Max Fleischer says, well, it's interesting when you show him jump and come back, he kind of looks like he might have flown. Can we just make him fly? And that's where Superman's flying ability apparently came from. But yeah, this is available. I definitely want to pick this up. This is pretty exciting. I mean, I have watched a lot of these. Right now, you can even see them with some ads in Tubi, but nice and cleaned up and good high definition. I am down with that. Something else coming up in just about 6 days from the time of this recording here on May 31st, the entire Indiana Jones, we'll call it a series at this point, is coming to Disney Plus. And Paramount still, of course, has the rights to this stuff, but Disney, of course, owning Lucasfilm, also now has some rights, so they finally worked out a deal to put them on Disney Plus. This will be all 4 current movies, plus apparently the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles will be on Disney Plus as well for your viewing pleasure. I've never watched the Young Indiana Jones. I've seen like one episode of it. Recently, Lost Boy Philip bought a digital version of all of that, but of course he buys it, and then of course they decide to release it to where he'll be able to watch on Disney Plus. Just figures, doesn't it? So I'm going to sit and maybe try to watch Young Indiana Jones, and of course I love the original trilogy. The 4th one, actually, we're up on a kind of an anniversary of the 4th one. I think it's been 10 years or 15 years. I think it was my 5-year anniversary that my wife and I went to go see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull before making a return trip for our anniversary. It was our 5-year anniversary at the time. We went back to Omaha where we went on our honeymoon. We're now at our 20-year anniversary as of Wednesday, the 24th. But we don't have the money to go back to do our Omaha, every 5 years go to Omaha to the zoo and everything. We couldn't do it this year. Heck, and tomorrow is my 46th birthday. My goodness. Yes, I'm getting old, folks. So, yeah, but that's coming up here the 31st. So you get a chance to watch the Indiana Jones movies, although you probably own copies of them, I'm sure. But, getting a chance to watch the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, you might not own a copy of that, and you may not have seen it since they're on TV. But, well, give us all a chance to check it out. Now, also something I just copied and pasted this. Did I list the website where I pulled this from? Well, there's a documentary called The Greatest Geek Year Ever, 1982. And this, as it's described, is an inside look back at the greatest geek year in cinema ever, 1982, with stars, directors, writers, producers, critics, and pop culture historians sharing their insights about such classics films as E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Blade Runner, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Poltergeist, Tron, and many more. Filled with exclusive interviews, rare behind-scenes footage, and incredible never-before-seen clips, and a fun, lively, no-holds-barred celebration of the legendary movie-going year. Greatest Geek Year Ever, 1982. We'll take viewers behind the scenes of the biggest and most influential movies ever made at a time when fandom was at its infancy. This is written and produced by Mark A. Altman, directed also Roger Lay Jr., executive produced by Burge Garabedian. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. Scott Mantz, Thomas P. Vitale, Eric Carnegie, and Aaron Ratner also serve as producers. Now, I believe this is coming to a streaming service. I seem to have not carried over that information when I saw this. I remember seeing it on Facebook, and I clicked in the article and grabbed some of this to share with y'all. But keep an eye on a streaming service. I don't believe this is coming to theaters, but keep an eye. I did see something else that's a documentary that's coming here that I didn't grab for a news story. I don't recall that I grabbed a trailer. It was basically a trailer I saw. But there's a documentary that I'm not sure where it's popping up from, but it's a Gene Wilder documentary. I saw something on it actually on YouTube. I saw this trailer, but there wasn't anything indicating, all right, is this going to be on a streaming service? You know, how am I supposed to watch this? I don't know. But here's something else, some news you may have already heard. The Hollywood Reporter telling us, I'm getting, I need to skip an ad here, I guess. Hulu and Disney Plus content to be combined in one app, services to stay separate. There's a lot of people talking about, because Disney is working on some final stuff to get all of Hulu. And as it is, I'm paying for a bundle where I get Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus all together. And there was talk that they'll be combining both. Like Disney Plus is going to go away and it'll all just be on Hulu or something. But really, I guess they're just combining some content will be available on Hulu as well as on Disney Plus. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but it says here Disney holds the majority stake in Hulu while Comcast owns a third. Starting in January 2024, Comcast will use its put option to require Disney to buy its stake, or Disney can use its buy option to force Comcast to sell its stake. The Disney executive had previously signaled a greater willingness to part with the streaming platform. Iger appeared on CNBC on February 9th, spoke about Disney wanting to move away from undifferentiated entertainment, saying of Hulu, everything is on the table right now, so I am not going to speculate whether or not a buyer or seller of it. So I wouldn't jump too much on, Disney Plus is going away, it's all going to become Hulu or something like that. It's still a pending thing, and it sounds like they're just going to maybe shift some content around. I don't know if Disney's going to buy it or going to, who knows. Brief thing I have to at least mention. We got a little tease for what they're calling Mortal Kombat 1. They've rebooted the franchise pretty much once again. Some time doohickey wiki, timey-wimey stuff going on. I looked at it. I'm not going to cover much of it because, holy cow, some serious ultra gore is what I've labeled that. More so than I'd even find in any horror game that I've played. Like Resident Evil 4 was not even as gory and nasty as some of the stuff they put in Mortal Kombat games. So I've fallen off of the franchise a long time ago. But I've heard it was at least worth a mention as it did happen. You've also probably heard the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is closing permanently. This last voyage will be September the 30th, and then the Disney has not yet decided what they're going to do with this location. They put a lot of time and effort into building the thing, but it was just too darn expensive for most people to even consider going. Those people who did go apparently did enjoy it, had a good time. If you can afford the $6,000 person or whatever thing. It was a really overpriced experience. I don't know what I can necessarily call it a bad idea, but it was kind of a bad idea to have to build something that you're going to have to charge that much for anyone to do, because you're not going to have a lot of people who, the common person is clearly not going. Okay, but I do have some stuff from the PlayStation Showcase from yesterday, and some of this has got some good audio. I can't remember what all had audio that you're going to be able to hear something. Hopefully this one, they'll tell you what it's about. So let me just click and play this video here.
Later this year, we will launch a dedicated device that enables you to stream any game from your PS5 console using remote play over Wi-Fi. Internally known as Project Q, it has an 8-inch HD screen and all of the buttons and features of the DualSense wireless controller. We look forward to sharing more information in the near future. I'm also pleased to reveal our first ever PlayStation earbuds, which will bring next-generation audio immersion to PS5 and PC. They simultaneously connect to smartphones via Bluetooth. New wireless technology will deliver lossless audio with low latency, giving you outstanding sound quality while you're playing. Look out for more details soon.
PlayStation.
Okay, so when looking at this, it's kind of like a new controller, but it's for remote play. This basically looks like a Nintendo Switch. Now, those of you who own a PlayStation, like I do, will be familiar with a remote play. That is where I can get on a laptop or my computer here, and I can play with my PlayStation systems, because I still have a PS4 that'll do this. I can play with it when I'm not at home, right? You know, I can play on a laptop somewhere, as long as I have good Wi-Fi, or even if I'm within the home area, I can play with it. And so this would be the idea that with this device, you could be somewhere and via the internet, remote into your home system, provided, of course, you've turned on remote play on your system. I've used this, like I'm right now where I record at. I'm up in my office, and I have all my toys and my fun stuff in my office, and I've got my game systems in here as well, but also downstairs in my bedroom, with where, the master bedroom where my wife and I are at. I do have the PS4, and I can actually sit down there, get into my PS4, and log in and play stuff on my PS5 if I want to. I tend to not do anything that's going to have a lot of fun haptic feedback, because I don't think the PS4 controller will, nearly translate as well the haptic feedback you have on a PS5 controller. But, for old PS4 games, or if I want to just play around with the Disney Dreamlight, or if I want to, do a lot of different things, I can, tap into my PS5, and play some different things that are on that console. So it's very, very, very cool to do that kind of thing. I've been rather enjoy it. But this is basically a device that will allow you to do the same with a remote device. And it's supposed to still have a lot of haptic feedback and features. I have no idea how long your battery is going to last on this thing, but I have a feeling probably not that long. All right, now I did mention I wanted to share Spider-Man 2. They put a couple of different things. They put some gameplay reveal on there that was also on Marvel. The full 12 minutes they combined it. I'm going to talk about the gameplay. It's very long, but what I do want to just play the audio for you is the introduction of a major villain in the game. As soon as the audio starts. Takes a while to get there, doesn't it?
You grow slow in your old age, Sergei. A fate you will not share. I've been in your shadow for hours, but you sense nothing. Pathetic. I asked for an equal, and this is what you find.
Sir, perhaps a new hunting ground.
great hunt begins.
Alrighty, so Spider-Man 2 is coming out this fall. And let me just read the description. It says, yes, PlayStation. Kraven the Hunter makes his debut in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and he's in search of an equal. That spells bad news for the inhabitants of Marvel's New York. So if you didn't catch Sergei and you didn't know what that means, that's Sergei Kravinoff, Kraven the Hunter, coming into this game as a major villain. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the 10-minute, 52-second video that you can also find. Like I said, this was all put together in one video on Marvel's YouTube channel, but they showed some of the gameplay, and you get a little bit more of the story. So when Kraven comes to town, and those of you who are longtime listeners of the show, I'm sure I've talked about this with you all, I would have liked to have seen a Spider-Man movie back when we were doing the Sam Raimi stuff, with introducing the Lizard, and Kraven at the same time would have worked to where you can have the whole Kurt Connor's Lizard thing going on, having Spidey know that is his friend Kurt Connors as the Lizard, and then Kraven the Hunter shows up because he hears like there's this giant lizard monster and he wants to hunt it. I thought that would be a great movie. Well, we're getting that, but not as a movie. We're getting it as a major plot point of this game. Kurt Connors, who is the only person who might be, for those who played the original game, might be able to cure Harry Osborn of whatever illness, has become the Lizard, and Kraven has shown up to hunt him. So both Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man, he's the Brooklyn Spider-Man. I don't know if they're ever going to call them something where that you can separate these two. It'd be nice. It'd be convenient. But yeah, I've already talked about my issues with that. But they're having to work together to try to stop Kraven from killing the Lizard. So while they also search for a way to turn him back to Kurt Connor so he can help save Harry Osborn. Now, also we got to see in a small cutscene of the first game, there's some sort of version of the symbiote around. Well, in this gameplay trailer, we get to see the symbiote has infected Peter, and he is getting some of those anger issues the symbiote tends to have when we adapt this story. And he even had, when he talks to enemies and stuff, he's got more of a rougher, angrier voice going on. And it's definitely making some changes to his personality. It also gives you some new, wild Venom-style abilities in the symbiote suit. I'm seeing this potentially coming to a showdown between Peter and Miles as Miles tries to fight to free Peter from the symbiote. I have a feeling there's going to be a heck of a good fight between him and Miles coming because, by the end of this 10-minute bit of gameplay, Miles is talking to his friend who is helping out. Like, this is not the Spider-Man I know. Something is wrong. Something is different about him. He's had a completely different personality. That's not him. So I foresee this being very, very interesting going forward. I'm quite excited to see where it goes. Some other things that were announced. We've got a new Assassin's Creed Mirage, where they're getting back, I guess, to the classic style of Assassin's Creed. I've only played one Assassin's Creed game, and I actually didn't really like it. I thought it was kind of frustrating. But, there's fans of that series. So, also, we've got Phantom Blade Zero. It's going to probably have a mature rating. I don't know if we'll play that audio. A lot of very, very much like a samurai epic kind of thing, which we're getting quite a few of those here lately. What's got my interest, though, is we did get a look at Alan Wake 2. Also, Dragon's Dogma 2. I've never played the first one. I've heard of it, but there's some excitement around that one as well. But, Alan Wake 2, I'm excited for. I do have footage of me playing this online, by the way. But let's take a listen.
I'm trapped here. In this nightmare. I write to escape. Every word is a step forward. Into darkness.
I'm glad you're on this case with me, Anderson. It's right up your alley.
The victim was one of their own. FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale.
So you knew our victim?
Only the rumors. He was chasing a writer.
Someone knew they were here. was playing a game with them.
Killer left a message.
It's for us. The text is about us.
We were all trapped in a horror story. The horror story wanted us dead. There's something I'm forgetting. Something important. Something's not right!
Easy now. First things first. What's your name?
And that's where they put the title Alan Wake 2 up. October 17th, 2023, right in time for Halloween. Now, I will say about the original game, you can kind of call it a bit of a horror. It's more of a suspense thriller. But let me read some of the description PlayStation has over here. Alan Wake 2 releases October 17th, a long-awaited sequel to the award-winning cinematic action thriller and Remedy Entertainment's take on survival horror. A string of ritualistic murders and a supernatural darkness begin to corrupt the locals of the quirky, idyllic small town of Bright Falls. Can Agent Saga Anderson and Alan Wake break free from the desolate horror they're trapped in and be the heroes they need to be? Now, they're not saying it in here, but what people are commenting about is you can see Sam Lake as a PS5 model. Sam Lake, he's kind of a high-up guy with Remedy. They're a European company. Remedy has been kind of linking some of their games together. In fact, there was the Alan Wake storyline comes to play in Control in some DLC, which if you haven't played Control, that was an outstanding game. I had a lot of fun playing with that one. And, you know, there's talk there's going to be an Alan or a Max Payne remake. But looking at Sam Lake's face with his hair slicked back and having even the voice of Max Payne be apparently his voice makes me think, is this Max Payne as also an FBI agent? Maybe later on, because you did have Max Payne 3 where he ends up like South America or something. I never played all of it. I don't know. I tried to play on my old Xbox 360, the Max Payne 3, but I couldn't get into it. I don't know. It felt repetitive. It didn't feel like it didn't have the noir and graphic novel style of the first two Max Payne games, and it just didn't capture the magic of the original Max Payne. But I gotta wonder, is this supposed to be Max Payne now? So they're connecting even those games into this shared universe. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know what the answer is. But oh wow, if they're connecting it all, that is very awesome. And I am super, super excited for that. That's coming up very soon. Let's see. I had 3 different things. I wanted to play some audio. There we go. Oh, wait, that's the trailer park. Haha. I got to go look and see other news, make sure if I've played everything. Okay, there's, Spider-Man 2, and I was going to play the thing, and I was going to play that. I guess I've played all the audio that I want to play for you for the news to be able to discuss. So that means it's time to go to the trailer park.
Mama, another gator got in the house.
Another gator? Give me that sugar. Come here.
Get him, Mom. Get that gator.
The Neverland trailer park.
Now, I've been collecting trailers since last week, so here's one that actually played. What did I go to the movie to go see that this was playing with? And I was like, interesting. Maybe it was with Guardians they played this. Must be. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Are the sum of our choices. And we cannot escape the past. Ethan, this mission of yours is gonna cost you dearly.
The world is changing. Truth is vanishing. War is coming.
It's been a long time, friend. You've no idea the power I represent. It knows your story and how it ends.
Listen to me. The world's coming after you.
His fate is written. Shall we write yours too?
If anything happens to them, there's no place that I won't go to kill you. That is written.
Ethan, what's your objective? What's your ultimate objective?
Your life will always matter more to me than my own.
None of our lives can matter more than this mission.
I don't accept that.
So July 12th is when this hits theaters. Let me read you some description. Oh, I don't think they really have much description. No, here we go. In Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, and his IMF team embark on their most dangerous mission yet, to track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity before it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, and dark forces from Ethan's past closing in, a deadly race around the globe begins. Confronted by a mysterious all-powerful enemy, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than his mission, not even the lives of those he cares about most. They don't have a list of the cast on here, but I believe I saw Palm Clementov, or yeah, I think it's, yeah, well, Mantis from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Haley Atwell playing a role in here, and we all love Haley Atwell, don't we? For her role, of course, in the Captain America franchise. So, I mean, a lot of recognizable actors, of course, a lot of returning ones. I'm a little behind on these Mission Impossible movies. I never expected they would end up making this many of them. I remember seeing at least the first two in theaters. I saw the third one, I think, on a home video of some sort. I'm pretty sure I've watched the fourth one. I think that's where I've left off. But they don't number them, so it's kind of hard to keep track of, what in the world's going on. Which one am I on? What's happening? I don't know. So, but they are available on streaming services to watch. I need to catch up and watch this because this does look interesting, and I would like to go and check it out. And one thing I want to grant Tom Cruise, he showed us with Top Gun Maverick, he is just out there to just make good movies and entertaining stories, and give us a few thrills. And so, good on him, making just entertainment. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. Here's some interesting science fiction coming September 29th. It's called The Creator.
What's heaven?
It's a peaceful place in the sky.
Are you going to heaven?
No.
Why not?
You gotta be a good person to go to heaven.
10 years ago today, the artificial intelligence created to protect us detonated a nuclear warhead in Los Angeles. For as long as AI is a threat, we will never stop hunting them. This is a fight for our very existence.
Whatever's in there, they're sure worried about someone getting in.
Yeah, we're getting out.
We're the same. We can't go to heaven because you're not good. And I'm not a person.
Did you locate the weapon?
Yeah, it's a kid.
Seatbelts.
What do you want with the child? We are this close to winning the war. we go extinct.
They're coming to get me.
Okay, so that is The Creator coming September 29th. Let me see if I have some description here to read for you. From 20th Century Studios, says nothing. And what's interesting is somebody commented on YouTube, I absolutely love when studios make high-budget original sci-fi films like this. And when I say original, I just mean a film that's not an adaptation or a sequel. Because really, it's not necessarily that original. It's man versus AI machines. Your AI overlords are waiting for you to die. You know, it's the Terminator franchise. It's the Matrix. However, this time they might have done something a little different. You have a little girl who is a robot, and you have other machines that have human faces in this. And so we get a little bit of elements. So if you played the game Detroit Become Human, pardon me. I was trying to keep myself from burping there, sorry. But you have some elements of that where maybe it's the machines were attempting to have some rights of like, oh, hey, we've become intelligent. We just want to be able to live here. So there might be an element of that going on. It's hard to say exactly what they're doing here because this was just a teaser. But it seems like it's hard to tell who the right side is because the first half of this, you see the AI that was supposed to be protecting us on this thing called Heaven, nuking Los Angeles and them beating up humans and stuff. But then you see also the humans are smashing up the machines. And that is something even the Matrix kind of was going in that direction. But you had to, in order to understand the full Matrix trilogy, we'll ignore that fourth movie, you had to have watched the Animatrix, where you kind of see that there is aggression on both sides, and really we just needed to find a way to have a peace. And so that's what makes the third Matrix movie actually work, is when we finally get a peace and we have a truce. Like, maybe we can learn to live together with the machines, that kind of thing. So, oh my gosh, I just see a thing here on Hulu about, what is this? White Men Can't Jump. There's a trailer on here about it. I don't think I'm going to click it, though. But I don't know if that's a series or what. A new movie. They remade it. Oh, goodness. Anyway, I just saw that. Sorry, while I was sitting here on the YouTube page. Now, one thing I want to address, because I'm allowed to say this kind of thing now on my show, because we've kind of changed format, that he talks about good people go to heaven. Only good people go to heaven. That's not what the Bible teaches. All of us, because none of us are truly good, but we are so worthy in the eyes of God, of worth him dying for to get us into heaven, right? Not that we are worthy of getting into heaven on our own, but we are of enough value. That's the word I should use, that we get into heaven not because we are good, but because Jesus was good, and that he chose to pay our price, and then we can go if we accept him and receive that gift. So that is one thing, of course, movies are not going to ever get, but there it was. There's the gospel simplified for you. You're welcome. But that looks to be interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on that and see where it goes from this time out. I got another trailer. This is something comes in from Disney Plus. You already knew about it. It's Secret Invasion. We got a new look at it.
That invasion is here, Rhodey. And we can't even tell who the invaders are.
Fury, why haven't you called any of your special friends?
This war is one I have to fight.
Living on the edge to the end of our lives. Roof in the sheepskin telling me lies.
Alone.
This world is burning, and it was you who lit the match.
TikTok, Nick. This is personal.
You're the most wanted man on the planet.
Well, Mama always said I was special.
Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion, only on Disney Plus.
We are less than a month away on this one. June 21st. This is coming very, very soon. And I'm curious to see what they've done. Now, I did see something about an article talking about this is the last time we were going to see Nick Fury, and there's going to be a successor. Now, I don't know. That could be, wow, I forgot the character's name, but we have seen the character. She is from the comics, Maria Hill. There we go. We have seen Maria Hill in an Avengers film. She's played by an actress who's been previously in the How I Met Your Mother series. So I cannot think of the actress's name, but I wonder if they're going to have that. Because I know for a time in some comics, Maria Hill was running S.H.I.E.L.D., and she was not very good at it. She didn't have a good personality where she didn't get along with a lot of the superheroes, and they really didn't like her very much. So we'll just see what we're going for with that. So I'm definitely curious to see how that goes, and I will go ahead and I will check that out. One last trailer, literally the last trailer, the final trailer for the upcoming Flash movie. Here you go.
Hi.
I love you!
Thank you.
Patching you into Mr. Wayne.
No, please don't.
I need you here now, Barry. So you're saying you could travel back in time?
But Bruce, I can fix things. I can save people. I can save my mom. I can save your parents.
You could also destroy everything.
Love you, Mom.
I love you too.
So how was it this week? How's school?
School was good. Oh, this is mad trippy. Dude, this is catastrophic.
This world must die.
I'm not gonna lose her again. It's not Clark.
My name is Kara. I will help you.
Interesting group.
Want some help?
Wait, he's Batman?
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Oh, this rips! We're in uncharted territory. Batman, what do we do?
We try not to die.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's go.
You have fancy friends.
No, it was an Uber. Oh, exec.
So June 16th, The Flash. Now, we all know the reason why we want to see this is Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman. Now, what I'm curious about, so if you ever read, I don't know that I read the whole Flashpoint Paradox, but I think they DC made an animated movie of it. But when Barry Allen goes back in time and saves his parents, causing the Flashpoint Paradox, the Batman that he was in the world that he created by changing everything was actually Thomas Wayne, where Bruce and Martha were killed instead of Thomas and Martha being killed. So Thomas Wayne became an older Batman. And this being, clearly Michael Keaton is older than Ben Affleck because we have him as Batman. It almost looks like we see Christian Bale's Batman in here as well. So I kind of wonder, is it possible that he is Thomas Wayne? Wouldn't that be a twist? He'd be Thomas Wayne, but he'd be in the style of the 89 Batman. But it could be that he's also just a Bruce Wayne Batman, and he's bringing back the exact one we know from up through Batman Returns, because he's still got the classic Batmobile. And we're going to ignore Batman Forever and the Batman and Robin movie, I guess. So, but that's kind of been the main selling part, and they know that's what everybody is really excited about, is seeing Bruce Wayne back as Batman. So that's everything I have on that. And you know what? Now it is time to light the music, start the music. Or play the music, and it's time to light the lights. I couldn't even get it right now. All right, so let's play the music and light the lights after all. Now, of course, I put this out to y'all about who your favorite Muppet was, favorite guest star, or any memories. And I put it mainly on social media to try to collect. And so we'll go through some of that later. But I did go and dig up a little bit of history. And I even found, like, Encyclopedia Britannica had an entry. Now, what's kind of fun, I can hit a button. Listen to this.
The Muppet Show. The Muppet Show, TV comedy series created by Jim Henson that ran from 1976 to 1981. It featured the Muppets, a cast of now iconic characters that included Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, and Gonzo, as they prepared for their weekly vaudeville show. While attending the University of Maryland, Henson and his future wife, Jane Nabel, created the puppet show Sam and Friends for a Washington, D.C. television station. The 5-minute program introduced the first Muppets, including Kermit. The term Muppets was coined by Henson to describe the meld of marionettes and puppets that he used. They were usually made of sculptured foam rubber, plastic, and various fabrics. For the Muppet Show, most of the Muppets were hand puppets, which were voiced by the people operating them. Following graduation, A.B. 1960, Henson, along with his assistants, did commercials and brief spots on various television shows. In 1969, the Muppets began appearing on the Children's Television Workshop's program Sesame Street, bringing Henson and his humanoid animals extraordinary nationwide popularity. Yet Henson wanted to show that Muppets appealed not only to children but also to adults. After several unsuccessful attempts to produce the Muppet Show in the United States, Henson finally received support from the London-based television producer Lou Grade. The show began airing in 1976 and soon gained a global audience. Each week, Kermit the Frog, the harried producer of the fictitious show within a show, had his patience and composure tested by the unfunny comedian Fozzie Bear, the clownish and unpredictable Gonzo, and, most of all, the relentlessly amorous Miss Piggy. A different celebrity appeared in each episode, and over the series' 5-season run such performers as Steve Martin, Carol Burnett, Gene Kelly, and Gladys Knight guest-starred. The popularity of The Muppet Show inspired a number of motion pictures, including The Muppet Movie, 1979, The Great Muppet Caper, 1981, and The Muppets Take Manhattan, 1984, as well as books, magazines, records, commercials, and merchandise. After The Muppet Show ended in 1981, other series featuring the Muppets followed, including Fraggle Rock, 1983-87, a puppet show about subterranean creatures, and Jim Henson's Muppet Babies, 1984-91, a morning cartoon program. Prior to his death in 1990, Henson was in negotiations with the Disney Company to sell the rights to the Muppets. The deal was finalized in 2004, and it transferred the trademarks and copyrights of most of the iconic characters to Disney. Later projects included the feature film Muppets Most Wanted, 2014, and The Muppets, 2015-16, a television series purporting to document the behind-the-scenes antics of Miss Piggy, Kermit the Frog, and their cohorts.
Now, that's kind of nice that I can actually just hit a button and it'll just read the article for us, isn't it? That saves me a lot of talking. I thought that was kind of a neat feature on the Encyclopedia Britannica. There's also a Muppet Fandom Wiki. I'm hoping one of these would have a little bit more information. But it says the action in each episode was balanced between the onstage acts and the frantic activity backstage. One of the very few exceptions is episode 110, in which almost all sketches and skits are depicted on stage. The concept was reminiscent of old-time radio shows like the Jack Benny program, where the star struggled to put on a weekly show amidst personal problems and an often uncooperative cast. Now, what is fun, if you were buying the seasons when they were releasing them on DVD, which we only got 3 of them released, you could see a sort of a pilot episode. A lot of different pilot things. I think there's even one where they're more inside of a house instead of on a backstage. But they were going to do a show called Sex and Violence, and that was kind of the joke, because there would be no actual sex and violence. But that was what they were going to call the show, because they were trying to have an appeal where adults should enjoy the show as well. Until that time, Jim Henson had also been doing a lot of commercials. Rolf the dog was a spokesman, and Kermit began as a lizard. They did have an afternoon show that they were running for a while, but did a lot of commercials and stuff before things really got rolling, as was mentioned in the Encyclopedia Britannica website, where Now I forgot where I was even going with that, but where it did mention that they were doing Sesame Street before. Yeah. I forgot what I was saying before that. You ever have that happen to you where you just lose your sentence somewhere midway? Well, one of my favorite bits on there that I find very, very funny is where Mark Hamill actually guest starred, but also so did Luke Skywalker was guest starring. That way they could keep the illusion that Chewbacca, R2-D2, and C-3PO were themselves and weren't being portrayed by actors, because Chewbacca does show up towards the end. But what I find very funny about this is the final sketch where they're doing something on the planet Kuzbane, which they frequently did on the Muppet Show, but they stop and they sing "When You Wish Upon a Star," and a Disney-esque castle rises from the background. There was some serious foreshadowing that I don't think anybody at that time had any idea that Disney would eventually end up owning both the Muppets and Star Wars. So I always found that to be quite interesting. Now, I think the first episode that I was able to get is, Time Life was releasing like best of collections that were hosted by Brian Henson. And you would get just a few of the episodes. And I remember getting the Steve Martin episode on one of those. I think the Elton John episode was on one, and the Mark Hamill episode. And for a while, that was the only way you can get it. And I don't think even the Mark Hamill episode, I don't know if that was ever released on those first 3 seasons. I don't think it was part of one of those seasons, because it was around the time The Empire Strikes Back was about to come out. So the Muppet Show was starting to wind down. It's in the last couple of seasons. I think it's like probably season 4 that he pops up, because he's dressed even that Luke, when he comes out as Luke Skywalker, he's dressed in the outfit you would see him in from Empire. Now, I remember watching this. I don't think I watched them during their original run. I was a little older, and I remember seeing mostly over at one of my grandparents' house, and that would be on a Saturday. Although the Muppet Show apparently aired on Sunday nights, but I would see that Saturday, so apparently some repeats on some sort of syndication. I never found it at home, just only over at my grandmother's house, and we'd watch the Muppet Show. And I did see the Muppet movie, and Great Muppet Caper, I remember, was on cable a lot. I used to watch that a lot. I used to have the LP of that soundtrack. I'd like to actually get a copy of that full soundtrack, actually, for the Great Muppet Caper. But my memories listening to the soundtrack of it are different from the memories of what the film was actually like. Because when you're a kid, sometimes you take the Muppets a little bit more seriously than the wackiness that was going on. Really, though, I really enjoyed that soundtrack. I do need to get myself a new copy of that one. But I remember watching, we're focusing on the Muppet Show. I remember watching mainly when I was a little kid over at my grandmother's house. And I'm still almost in a tied for first place between Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo's being my favorite. But Gonzo's probably my number one. Like Kermit is that everyman, and it's that good optimistical, deals with all the, he gets frustrated with stuff. But he's kind of like who you're trying to be, but really I'm more of a Gonzo, where I'm just a little weird, and a little wacky. And just kind of a weird outsider. I've always kind of felt like that. I always related to Gonzo that way. And my sense of humor is more like Fozzie, where I make a lot of dumb jokes. So I'm somewhere like there's aspects, I think, of my personality in each one of them that I relate to. So they've always been my favorite. But let's see what some of you said. So here on my own personal, those of you who actually know me, on my own personal post, my cousin Melissa actually come up and had a gif of Animal playing drums, and then also mentions Vincent Price, Prince, and more. Now, Prince was not actually on The Muppet Show. He was on The Muppets Tonight later, and of course, we're mainly talking The Muppet Show, but the Vincent Price episode is a good one, and that does make me think of the Alice Cooper episode, which I'd have to go digging for the audio, but it's been a while ago, but there was one time Alice Cooper actually came to town for a convention. I did get a chance to ask him to tell us about his experience on The Muppet Show. And that I do enjoy the Alice Cooper episode as well. Another fellow, Chris Ward, I used to work with him, has a gif he put of Statler and Waldorf. And then one of my old professors here, Eric Newsom, he says, I think it's funny that Roger Miller performing in the summertime on The Muppet Show wasn't as good as the iconic country trio performance of In the Summertime. Now, I don't know why it's funny that performance by himself is not as good as when he performed with like Glenn Campbell and other stuff. I had to go look up that song. But yeah, he always thought it's funny that when he performed on The Muppet Show, it's not as good. And it usually wouldn't, it wouldn't always be like the best performance. My sister has posted up here and has Kermit and Fozzie, basically from the Muppet movie. And then we have Sherry Kuntz Moss, that is actually Lost Boy Phillips' brother, or sister, rather, has a picture of Floyd and Janice, a GIF, and she actually did send an email, like all the times I asked for emails, everybody was posting it here, but she actually did send me an email. It said, Rock's original flower power couple. Oh, that's all she has in the email? Really? That's it? Rock's original flower power couple. Well, at least it gives a reason for why. Oh, I was expecting more when I opened that email. Okay. But yeah, they were the original flower power couple, and they're, factor in pretty big in the, I didn't realize for a long time that they were supposed to have been a couple, Floyd and Janice. But Floyd really, he's Floyd Pepper. He's like, and they even dive into the Electric Mayhem, that how he was in the military. He was a sergeant, so he was Sergeant Pepper. And you realize, of course, he was dressed like a beetle. Favorite guest star, she's got a picture of Steve Martin putting a shower cap on Kermit. Not necessarily one of my favorite episodes with Steve Martin on there. Steve Martin, his stand-up I never really got into. I even bought one of his CDs once, and it just was like, he's so good in movies. He's so funny in movies, but his stand-up and his performance on the Muppet Show, it is unique, that episode, because it's like he's mad because they cancel the episode of the Muppet Show. And so they thought, well, let's just do auditions. So Steve Martin comes out and does one of his just regular stand-up things. It's the only thing I think they could figure out to do with Steve Martin is just let him do his own thing. But what I do like about that is you get Kermit singing "It's Not Easy Being Green" on an episode of the Muppet Show right there. Okay, now I also did ask this of people on the Neverland, the Fandom Nexus fan page. So the episode with John Cleese is legendary. That's from Eden. And I agreed with her. Yeah, that's definitely, that John Cleese one is great because he's just upset, mad the whole time. Just John Cleese getting to be his grumpy self. And he's just funny no matter how he does it. Daniel Lewis mentions Gonzo, of course, as his favorite. We got to hear from Ricky Pope of the Christian Nerds Unite, which we mentioned him on every show because he helped out with the intro. And he says, I love the Muppets. I remember watching the Muppet Show on TV when it first came out. The Muppet movie in 1979 is great. I also love Muppets Take Manhattan, but the best Muppet movie is A Muppet Christmas Carol. So well done. We have James Carey mentioning Janice, and Diana Winkler saying the episode with Christopher Reeve was my all-time favorite. Ooh, you know what? I don't know that I saw Christopher Reeve on an episode, but I do recall Christopher Reeve. I used to get the Muppet magazine, and around the time the fourth Superman movie was coming out, Christopher Reeve actually appeared in Muppet magazine, and it was funny because they would do like they were being interviewed by a Muppet, and they'd take photos like they were actually interacting, and he was inside the Muppet Labs with an experiment with Bunsen and Beaker. So they get a little bit where they get information about the movie or whatever, and he talks about it. But also they have a storyline of what's happening during the interview with his interaction with the Muppets. And I remember having that, and it was just a lot of fun and making some jokes. And Bunsen and Beaker not realizing that he's Christopher Reeve and he's not really Superman. So, but at the end of it, I remember like the little joke they have at the end is like, well, it's been nice hanging out here, but I really got to fly. So there was that little joke at the end. But yeah, the Muppet Show was just a great show. And of course, launching a heck of a great film franchise there for a while. I remember when it all turned around when Jim Henson passed away, and we just passed the anniversary of his passing, and how things were going to change with a different voice for Kermit, and yet still showing that they still had something to offer the world with those first few movies. They came back and started doing storylines for like the Treasure Island and the Christmas Carol. I do love those as well. Now, some of the stuff I think nowadays I don't think is as good, but they do still, every once in a while, they churn out something that is still fun and worth watching. But that was our fun look back at the Muppet Show, and I hope you have enjoyed this episode. It is time, of course, that we wrap this up. So I want to remind you that you can send us an email, podcast@neverlandpodcast.com, and follow us on social media. And by the way, if you go to neverlandpodcast.com, there's a lot of good stuff right there, right in the middle of the page. You can click in there for My Podcast Reviews. There, if you happen to have a podcast, you want to collect your reviews from around the world for just a very low yearly fee, you can get all reviews sent right to your email, which, hey, we could use a few reviews. And there's actually ways to get your review sent to me right there on our own website, because we're on so many different podcast filters, and it'll collect all from every area that you leave a review. It'll send it to me, but it's just easier if you just do it there. It's more convenient for you, probably. Also on neverlandpodcast.com, you can find links for our shop. We have lots of different t-shirts and different kind of designs that you can have on a lot of different things, and it really does help us out, especially if you follow links on there to go to Patreon and help us out there. We're also, of course, on Twitter and Facebook. We have both a group and a fan page. But we want to remember to thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, and Darren Wilhite of the Wilhite and Wall Show for helping out with the introduction of the show. And don't forget, once again, patreon.com/Neverland Podcast. And now, get lost in an adventure.